My own family turned their backs on me until one night changed everything. I used to believe that family was the one place in the world where you didn't have to prove your worth. I believed that no matter how badly you failed, no matter how lost you became, there would always be at least one person waiting for you with open arms. I was wrong, and the worst part is that I didn't realize it all at once. It happened slowly, quietly, piece by piece, until one day, I looked around and understood something terrifying. I was alone, even when I was surrounded by my own blood. It didn't start with hatred. People always imagine betrayal as something dramatic, yelling, doors slamming, explosive arguments, but that's not how that happened in my family. There was no big fight, no single moment where everything collapsed. It started with silence, with looks that lingered, a little too long, with conversations that stopped when I entered the room, with jokes that sounded harmless but landed like quiet insults. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. I thought, maybe I'm just tired, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe everyone's just stressed, but deep down, something had already changed, and I felt it every time. I sat at the dinner table, the invisible shifty. I remember one night in particular. We were all sitting together, the same way we had hundreds of times before, the same table, the same chairs, the same old routine, but something felt off. My father barely looked at me. My mother smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. My siblings talked around me, not to me. I tried to join the conversation. No one responded. I tried again, louder this time. Still nothing. It was as if I had become background noise, like furniture present, but irrelevant. That was the first time a thought crossed my mind that scared me more than anything else. What if I don't belong here anymore? When love becomes conditional, looking back, I can see exactly where things started to go wrong. I wasn't following the path they expected. I didn't have the career they wanted, didn't make the money they bragged about. I didn't fit into the version of success they could proudly explain to other people and in my family. Success was everything. It wasn't about happiness. It wasn't about happiness. It wasn't about character. It wasn't about who you were when no one was watching. It was about appearances. And I was becoming an embarrassment. The quiet judgments, they never said it directly. That's what made it worse. Instead, it came in comments disguised as concern. What are you doing with your life these days? Have you thought about being more realistic? You know, at your age, most people already have things figured out. Every word was calm, polite, almost caring, but underneath, there was judgment. And I felt it every time they compared me to someone else. A cousin who just bought a house, a friend who got promoted, someone younger who was already ahead of me. No one asked how I was actually doing. No one asked if I was okay. They only wanted to know why I wasn't winning. Trying harder made it worse. I did what most people do when they feel rejected. I tried harder. I worked longer hours. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I pushed myself past exhaustion just to prove I wasn't a failure. But the more I tried, the more distant they became. It was like chasing a door that kept closing no matter how fast I ran. Every small mistake became proof that they were right about me. Every setback was another silent "see, we told you." And slowly, without realizing it, I started believing them. The loneliest place on earth. There is a special kind of loneliness that comes from being rejected by strangers. But there is a deeper, more painful loneliness that comes from being rejected by your own family, because you don't just lose people, you lose your foundation. I started questioning everything about myself. Was I lazy? Was I broken? Was I simply not enough? And the scariest question of all, if my own family doesn't believe in me, whoever will? The night everything finally broke, the breaking point didn't come during a fight. It came during a celebration, a family gathering, a birthday, laughter, music, smiles for photos. Everyone was there except I wasn't really included. I stood in the corner, watching my family laugh together, share stories, make plans that didn't involve me. No one noticed when I stopped talking. No one noticed when I stepped outside. I remember standing alone in the cold, listening to the sound of laughter through the walls, and realizing something that made my chest tighten. They were happier without me. And in that moment, something inside me cracked. Walking away without leaving. I didn't storm out. I didn't announce anything. I just withdrew. I stopped sharing my plans. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped trying to earn a place that should have been mine from the start. I became quieter, smaller, easier to ignore. And they did exactly that. They ignored me. The turning point wasn't yet the night. That night, everyone turned their backs on me. Wasn't the night everything changed. It was the night everything ended. What changed my life came later, much later. On a night I never could have predicted. A night that started like any other. A night that forced my family to finally see me, not as a disappointment, not as a burden, but as something they desperately needed. And when that night came, nothing would ever be the same again. There comes a moment in your life when you realize that trying harder isn't making things better. It's only making you disappear faster. For me, that moment didn't arrive with clarity. It arrived with exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that lives deeper than the body. The kind that settles into your bones and makes even hope feel heavy. I was tired of explaining myself, tired of justifying my choices, tired of feeling like every conversation was a test I was destined to fail. So I stopped trying. Silence became my shield at first. The silence was uncomfortable. I would sit with my family and feel the urge to speak, to fill the gaps, to defend myself before anyone even attacked. But slowly, I learned something important. Silence was safer when I didn't speak. They couldn't twist my words when I didn't share. They couldn't judge my plans. When I stayed quiet, I hurt less. Or at least, I thought I did. Because the truth is, silence doesn't erase pain, that just hides it. Watching them move on without me, life didn't stop for them. They kept celebrating milestones. They kept planning futures. They kept building lives that didn't include me. And I watched from the sidelines like a stranger. I wasn't invited to decisions anymore. My opinion wasn't asked. My presence was optional. We became the family member they mentioned only when necessary. He's doing something. He's figuring things out. He's fine. They said those words without actually knowing if they were true. And the worst part, I stopped correcting them. When you stop belonging anywhere, it's one thing to feel lost in the world. It's another thing to feel lost at home. I started spending more time alone, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know where else to go. Friends had their own lives. Work was unstable. Home, it felt like foreign territory. There were days when I didn't speak to anyone at all. Days when my phone stayed silent. Days when I questioned whether anyone would even notice if I disappeared completely. And those thoughts scared me. The breaking illusion that had always believed something, that if things ever got really bad, my family would step in. That no matter what, blood meant protection. That illusion shattered quietly one evening, when I needed help more than I ever had before. I reached out, nothing dramatic, no begging, just honesty. I told them I was struggling, not financially, not professionally, emotionally, and the response: polite distance, concern without commitment, advice without action, sympathy without support. They listened and moved on. That was the moment I finally understood I wasn't their responsibility anymore. Choosing distance to survive. After that, something shifted inside me. Anger, not hatred, acceptance. I stopped expecting them to save me, stopped hoping they would suddenly understand, stopped believing they would change, and strangely enough, that's when I started changing. Not because I wanted to prove anything to them, but because I had no one else left to rely on. Rebuilding from the bottom. There's a kind of growth that happens when no one is watching, when no one is cheering. When no one believes in you. It's slow, painful, lonely, but it's real. I learned how to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. How to face my failures without excuses. How to look at myself honestly. For the first time, I stopped chasing approval. I started chasing clarity. The quiet strength they never noted. They assumed I was falling apart. I was learning patience, learning discipline, learning resilience. I built routines no one applauded. They made sacrifices no one saw. I fought battles no one knew existed. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't doing it to be accepted. I was doing it to survive. Letting go of the fantasy. One night, sitting alone in a small, dimly lit room, I had a realization that hurt more than any argument ever could. My family might never become the people I needed them to be, and that was okay. Not because it didn't hurt, but because holding on to that fantasy was destroying me. So I let it go. The calm before the settled into a strange rhythm after that. Quiet, predictable, uneventful. I didn't know it yet, but I was standing on the edge of something massive, a moment that would force my family to confront everything they had ignored, a moment that would drag old wounds into the open, a moment that would change the way they looked at me forever. But before that night came, there was one final test, one final moment that would determine whether I would crumble completely or stand stronger than ever before. And when the phone rang that night, everything changed. The phone rang when I least expected it. Late, too late for casual conversation, too late for good news. For a few seconds, I just stared at the screen. A family number. I almost didn't answer, not because I was angry, but because I had learned that every call carried weight, and I wasn't sure I had the strength to carry any more. I answered anyway. The call that broke the silence. The voice on the other end was shaky, urgent, unsteady, different, something that was wrong. I didn't get the full story at first, just fragments, panic layered over confusion, words spilling out faster than meaning. There had been an accident, situation, a mess no one knew how to fix. And then came the sentence that changed everything. We don't know who else to call. That sentence hit harder than any insult ever had. Because for years, they acted like they didn't need me. Now they did. The longest drive of my life, the drive that night, felt endless. Streetlights blurred past the windshield. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. My chest felt heavy, like something was pressing down on it from the inside. I wasn't angry. That surprised me. I wasn't excited either. I was calm in a way that scared me, because calm, I realized, meant I had already let go of expectations. Walking back into the past when I arrived, nothing looked the same. And yet, everything did. The same house, the same walls, the same familiar tension hanging in the air. They looked at me differently when I walked in. Not with judgment. Not with dismissal. Relief. And for the first time, that relief wasn't comforting. It was revealing the problem no one else could solve. They explained what had happened. A decision made years ago, a secret buried deep, chain of consequences finally snapping, and somehow, without realizing it, they had created a situation only I could handle. Not because I was smarter. Not because I was more important, but because I had been the only one paying attention all along. The one they ignored. The one they underestimated. One they pushed aside. And now, the solution stood right in front of them. The moment they stopped talking as I listened, something strange happened. They stopped interrupting me. They stopped correcting me. Stopped dismissing my ideas. Stopped talking over my words. They listened, really listened, and I realized something powerful. They weren't listening because they respected me. They were listening because they needed me. And that changed the balance completely. Facing them without fear, I didn't raise my voice, didn't accuse, didn't remind them of the years of silence. I didn't need to. My calm said more than anger ever could. I laid out the steps, the risks. The reality. And for the first time in my life, no one questioned me, no one doubted me. They just nodded. The unspoken apologies don't always come in words. Sometimes they come in looks. In pauses. In lowered eyes and quiet breaths. I saw it in them that night. The realization. The recognition. They finally understood what they had done and who they had done it to. Shift I never expected. When everything was over, when the crisis had settled and the tension softened, something unexpected happened. They didn't rush me out. They asked me to stay. To talk, to sit, to be there. And for the first time, it wasn't obligation, it was invitation, choosing my own ending. I wish I could say everything magically healed that night. It didn't. Years of distance don't disappear in a few hours, but something important changed. Not them. Me. I realized I didn't need their approval anymore because I had already survived. Without it, I didn't need to prove my worth. I had lived it. The power of becoming. Not convincing. That night didn't give me closure, it gave me clarity. I wasn't invisible because I lacked value. I was invisible because they couldn't see past their own expectations, and that was never my burden to carry. Walking away stronger when I left that house just before dawn, I felt lighter, not because everything was fixed, but because I finally understood something deeply. Being needed is not the same as being valued, and I would never confuse the two again. The lesson that changed my life. Sometimes the people who turn their backs on you are the ones who will one day realize you were the solution all along, but by the time they see it, you no longer need them to.